Hello, today I'm going to be talking about embryonic stem cells, what they are, who they affect, and how they can be used to help people. The history of embryonic stem cells. Stem cells were originally discovered in 1981 when scientists first gained stem cells from a mouse zygote. Tests were tried on mice, and scientists found that by injecting stem cells into an area of ailment for the mice would then heal themselves with the stem cells. The ailments included lost limbs, disease, and in some cases, cancer. Scientists were fascinated, and stem cell research continued, leading to a method to gain human stem cells from human zygotes in 1998. These stem cells were then labelled embryonic stem cells as they came from a zygote. What are embryonic stem cells? Embryonic stem cells are cells extracted from a baby animal or creature. They are harvested a few days after an egg cell and a sperm cell meet, just before the fertilized egg embeds itself into the womb wall and starts to form a child. The cells are then cultivated further in a lab, collecting around 150 to 200 cells. Embryonic stem cells are cells that can differentiate into other types of cells. However, unlike other stem cells, embryonic stem cells can turn into any cell they need to. They can either divide to make more stem cells by a process called mitosis, or change into cells that the baby will need, such as muscle cells, nerve cells, and much, much more. Embryonic stem cells, the positive. Embryonic stem cells have many uses. For example, they can be used to treat many types of disease, such as cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. Embryonic stem cells can also be used to test new drugs, as they can form into a collection of cells with a disease to test new ways of treating various diseases that the cell could get. They will also be able to replicate certain gene patterns, i.e. DNA structures specific to different people, so all outcomes of using new drugs on humans will be found, like potential allergies. Using the fact they can potentially make a new organ or section of a human, we can use them to find out more about how disease works and how the human body operates, as well as how the two combat each other, and some of this research could mention new methods of dealing with disease that we had not thought of before. New organs could also be grown to be applied to life-threatening damage, such as a punctured lung, ripped stomach, etc. Embryonic stem cells are currently used in modern medicine. For example, in a leukemia ward, if stem cell treatments were not applied, over 90% of their more serious patients would die. Stem cells save hundreds of lives, and if embryonic stem cell research continued, they would save millions more. Embryonic stem cells, the negative. Despite all the positive aspects of embryonic stem cells, there are many negative aspects. On a medical side, the body can sometimes reject the cells, making the patient even more ill and causing a serious disease called GVHD, standing for graft versus host disease, which may occur after a stem cell transplant in which someone receives tissues or cells from a donor. The newly transplanted cells think the recipient's body is foreign and attack it. Embryonic stem cells can also grow into the wrong cell. For example, if they are injected into the arm and then change into another random cell that is not needed in the arm, like brain tissue. Embryonic stem cells are also quite expensive, as they must be extracted, cultivated, tailored to the patient, and then administered. The research of them is equally expensive, costing already over $646 million and draining other resources that could be funding into something more specific, for example cancer research, that could work more effectively and have less issues. Beyond the challenges of money and rogue cell specialization, the most glaring and controversial issue with embryonic stem cells. The clue is in the name, really. Embryonic stem cells are harvested from growing human embryos, so the discussion turns to, are we murdering children to save ourselves? Some people argue that as the cells have not embedded into the womb wall yet, they are not able to form into a child, and harvesting them is acceptable, as they are just a bundle of cells. Some people also think as the embryo is not born yet, or developed, it has no soul. On the other hand, other people argue that it is immoral to destroy an embryonic stem cell at any stage of existence, as it has potential to become a baby human. The real question, for me, is at what stage does life really start?